Hi guys, Yuli here. Today is a Friday. Friday is Venus's day, and Venus is all about love, the arts, money, all things beautiful. And usually I do a Friday Venus day, Friday I'm in love art post where I share a piece of my artwork and I write out a little blurb about it and let people know where they can find the piece of art if they would like to purchase it and bring it into their home, and other availability options as well. Well, I didn't do a wisdom share this past Wednesday, so I apologize for those that were looking for that. Wednesday is typically Mercury's day. Mercury, being the messenger, is typically, so Wednesday would be the day that you would share a message. Well, Wednesday, as it would have it, the energies had me feeling really flat, which I could have spoken to that, but I feel that today, in listening to my rhythms, listening to spirit, today I felt like I'm going to do a culmination share where it's a wisdom share that was brought to me this morning in the sunrise, as well as yesterday I was listening to a live share from a fellow sound healer, and just some things that I noticed that was coming up for myself, for him and his share, and also in friends and people that I come across all throughout my day seem to be a common theme in the collective, so to speak, of, we're feeling a bit like there's some things that have changed, maybe some things that have changed within us, some things that we no longer resonate with, things that maybe we typically would love, but for some reason now, I don't know, they're just not feeling like they jive anymore. And so we could feel maybe a little bit lost if we don't understand these energies and we don't understand how, we've now eclipsed out. We just recently had an eclipse season. That season will officially end on the 12th, coming up next Saturday, which will be a full moon in Libra, where I'll speak more about that next week. But right now we're sort of in the ending phases of the eclipse. We've been through a lot of energies, and there's a lot of shifts that have happened globally, locally, and also within us. Businesses are changing. Some businesses are closing for the owner to now go off and do some other really amazing, cool things. I'm starting to change my venues as to where I offer sound healings. I'm starting to become a bit more collaborative and incorporating more sounds. I'm incorporating a new art process. So there's a lot of things that are changing right now. Change can feel very uncomfortable, and we might feel like, if you've listened to my past couple of shares, podcast shares, I discuss about, not so much trying to force like doing or being, and in all the focusing on becoming and unbecoming, we focus so much on what are we or who are we becoming, and then we try to take action steps to become that version of ourselves. But in doing that, we're still incorporating those masculine energies of ourselves rather than flowing so much from the feminine intuitive nature of ourselves that intuitively knows. In my last share, I shared about how nature just simply knows, where the birds don't think about how to fly. We don't think about how to walk across the room. We just simply do it. And that is being in our beingness, where we just innately know how to do things, or we know who we are. But right now we are sort of in that interim phase where we could feel like we're sort of like in an incubation period where we're kind of like getting our sea legs. like a baby deer, just learning how to walk. And the message I've been receiving quite frequently is, if you don't know your new direction, you feel like there's a new direction, you feel like there's a change that's happening, but you're not quite sure just what, just sit in it. That's what I'm hearing quite a bit out in the collective, is just sit in it and just watch it and just feel into what feels good for you. Again, not to force the river. And so I felt as though this particular piece of artwork here, this is called Fledgling. It is a self-portrait photo art composite. I'll bring it in a little bit closer in a bit for you to see. I created this right at COVID, when things were beginning to shut down for quarantine. My intention at the time was to put it towards my addiction series, but since creating it, I have really resonated with this message many times in my life. During quarantine was one of them, where things were shutting down and we didn't know if things would ever be opened again, and if so, what was going to be the new normal, and which direction were we going to go. At the time, I worked for a salon. I didn't know if salons were going to be opening up again, if my position was going to be open anymore, because they were thinking about restructuring the salon. Well, I think that we find ourselves in a very similar time right now. I think I mentioned that also in my last video as well, of getting back to the nature of our beingness, of really sort of settling into who we are. And after being conditioned for so long of doing things and being people that we weren't naturally, we had forced ourselves into roles, and society had sort of dictated who we were supposed to be and how we were supposed to act. And now it's kind of like, let's just simmer down and get back down to our true essence, and really meditate on what fulfills us, what brings us joy. Like, if there were no other people in this world to mirror back and just to sit in your own energy and really think about who you are, what would be your mission statement? Like, what's your slogan for you? And really think about what lights you up and what brings you joy. And if you could do that all the time and be fully abundant in your life, and say there is no money, so money is not even an object, and you have infinite resources at your disposal, what would you do? Who would you be in that? And that is like your true essence. That is the living then from a heart space, from heart-centeredness, of doing what brings you joy. And if you can envision yourself doing that, like for instance, creating art, creating sound, and doing sound baths, and just playing with the instruments, learning new instruments, and being in nature, that's like my trifecta. That's my trilogy. Those are the three things that bring me joy. And so I now share wisdom with you from Spirit. Spirituality is also a very joyful thing for me. It's very fulfilling for me to share wisdom with others and help them on their path, help them to shine a little bit brighter, and creating artwork that also helps to heal heart and soul and bring balance and harmony into the home. That's my joy and my passion. And then of course the sounds, that just really soothes me. It brings me back to when I was a kid and I played flute, and I would play for hours because it just filled me with so much joy. And so, also a message that's coming up for me as well is, we get this idea of, okay, so I now see what brings me joy and what I want to do and what I want to offer to the world then, because I want to share my heart and I want to share my joy with others. And I know also that as I do what brings me joy, abundance flows to me naturally. And that's not just financial abundance. Abundance is everything. It's love, it's home, it is money as well, or that all your bills can be paid in full, which doesn't necessarily have to be in money. We just always have these ideas of how things should be and how the end result would be obtained. But if we free ourselves from that notion of thinking, okay, well, I'm going to go down to the sunrise and it's going to be peaceful and it's going to be wonderful and I'm going to have this experience. Well, what if you don't have that experience? Are you then going to allow yourself to be bummed out? If you allow yourself to be bummed out because you're not having that experience, that you had a preconceived notion or an idea as to what it was going to be like, and you're not going to just fully allow the experience to unfold before you, then you are essentially bringing on your own suffering. And you alone are responsible for your emotions. Nobody can make you feel happy. Nobody can make you feel any kind of way. If you're feeling an emotion, it is something within you that is happening, that is coming up for you. And so I mentioned a fellow sound healer yesterday. Something that happened for him was that he was setting up, and he shared the story that a light stand music stand had fallen on his guitar. Well, it caused a little bit of a damage. It had a little ding to it. And so he started to play it, and I could feel and I could tell that he was a bit dismayed, and he was upset, saying that it didn't sound quite right. It sounded different. And I could feel that there was then an attachment to how the instrument was supposed to sound, how it's always sounded. And because it didn't sound like it always sounded, it was then deemed as if it was sounding wrong, that there was something wrong with it. Well, I encouraged him to, maybe it wants to sing a different story. Maybe it wants to sing a different song. Maybe it is now time for it to sound different, because we are all changing. And this is also with people in our lives. Everybody is changing, not just you, not just me. All the people in our lives are also going through a change as well. And it's for us to allow the change to happen, because it's happening for them. It's happening for us, because we're all divine mirrors of each other. And so as he continued to play, he didn't even invite other instruments for quite a while. He just played and allowed the guitar to sing its song in its new tone and its new sound. And I could feel his heart connecting now with the guitar in the new way that it was, that it had now become. Now, whether afterwards he went and, tuned it up or went and got it repaired, either which way, it's now a new guitar. It's a new way of being. It's never going to be the same again. And for us to have that attachment will only bring us suffering. But if we just simply allow everything and every moment to be organically the way that it is supposed to be, the way that it wants to be, the way that it wants to flow, then we will also have less suffering in our lives. And so with this art piece, this piece here is called Fledgling, and it is a self-portrait photo art. As I mentioned, I had photographed the nest. See if I can get you a decent, it's a little bit of a glare on there, but as I twist and turn it. So this nest with the little feather and this goose feather was one photo shoot. And then there was the photo shoot of just myself And then I had photographed, originally it was the sun through a total eclipse with some clouds around it, but I turned it into the moon digitally and added a texture over top of it that looks like constellations. And she's gazing up at the moon, as we may sort of look to astrology to point a direction, give us some sort of, maybe some hopefulness, or we may also be looking up to a higher power. We're looking up to the heavens and praying and asking, and also being patient and waiting for the answers to come. It's not for us to force anything, because as we're living from our heart-centeredness, we have a balance of heart and mind. And so as something arises in our heart that gives us direction, then it is the coherence between the two that then we formulate the idea and we gain the inspiration as to action that we can take, inspired action to move forward on our heart-centered dreams and goals. And so here she is asking for guidance, and as a fledgling, she's still learning about herself. She's learning about a new way of being and a new version of herself. So whether this was in my addiction series, which it is, that in that sense it was the addict who had gone through recovery or rehab and had come out of rehab and now has all new friends, or is looking for new friends and looking for a new way of life, whether that be through AA, NA, any of those programs, centered recovery, whatever, looking to a higher power now for understanding and for strength. And so, yeah, this is fledgling. She can also be viewed a little bit better on my website at www.yuliarts.com. Just go into the new shop and she will be in there, available as this original, and also as an open edition print. Because she is in my addiction series, I want that to be available to everyone. So DM me or message me somehow, contact me via email. I'll put all my info below. You can also contact me through my website if you're interested in knowing more about her or about purchasing options, where you can find her, where you can see her, and I can guide you from there. But until then, until next week, I'm going to bid you adieu at this time. Just reminding you, not to force the river, just simply float, and don't force anything to arise in this moment in your moments of change and transition. Just meditate and just sit with yourself and quietly contemplate, what does bring me joy? What really lights me up? What in my life do I wish was different? And because we're still in these ending phases of the eclipse season, and even if you're watching this at a different time, this can be done at any time. You can change. Change is always happening. The only constant is change. And so as you're moving through transition, as you're moving through this change, just sit in your heart. Just sit right there in your heart and find your joy. Don't ever let anyone take your joy. Ever, ever, ever. Always be right there in your joy, and good things will come to you. The answers will come to you, and your heart will always lead the way. So until next week, I bid you adieu. Please do, if you like this message and you like this piece of artwork and what I offer to you, please give me a thumbs up so I know. And thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this time and this moment with me. I have all of my information down below in the description of where you can find me and continue watching my journey. My Patreon is still in the works. I have some procrastination happening there. So I'm sure there's some sort of block that I need to work through, but I'm working through that, and I'm being patient with myself. I ask that you be patient with me as well. So thank you so much. I love you all so very much. Many blessings. Peace.